Hi folks, welcome back to Meaningful Money. I'm here at the beautiful Porth Chapel beach. Round the next cove round in that direction is Porth Gwora, where I was a couple of videos ago. And round in that direction, just around the headland there, is Porth Kerno beach and the famous Minack Theatre, which is well worth a visit if you're ever down this part of the world. But enough about that. What we're going to talk about today is hedge funds. We're still carrying on a little mini-series about the portfolio building blocks. Hedge funds, what we're really talking about here is the deep end of the pool in terms of complexity. This is, pretty major stuff. I'm going to try and simplify it, obviously, because the whole purpose of these few is really just to give you the basics of the things you can invest in. So hedge funds. Now, hedge funds were in the news a couple of years ago, particularly in sort of late 2008, early 2009, because at that time the markets were plummeting. Stock markets around the world were crashing. People were selling shares left, right and centre because they were worried. That was when the banking crisis was really at its peak, and the credit crunch, as it will go down in history as being called. Now, the reason why hedge funds were in the news a lot is because hedge funds are designed to profit when markets are going down. Now, that might seem counterintuitive. I'll explain how that works in just a minute. But these are risky types of things, but just like all the things you can invest in, they are used to diversify, to spread your portfolio around, and that in a sense reduces risk. So in small measures they have their place in any decent, intelligently thought out portfolio. Now, they're risky for several reasons. Firstly, they tend to invest in riskier shares, so small company shares or companies which are distressed for whatever reason. They tend to buy those kinds of assets in the hope, either that they'll go up or, as I'll explain in a minute, that they might go down. I'll come back to that. They can leverage, and that means that they can borrow money to invest, and that increases the risk of a hedge fund compared to just an ordinary fund, which is called a long-only fund. It's the opposite of short selling. They also have, as the fund managers or hedge fund managers, have just an appetite for risk. That's the sort of game they're in. So I'm sure they drive fast cars and take inordinate risks. But this is how they work primarily. They have many tools that they use to make money, but one of the main ones is short selling. Now, how short selling works is this. Let's say here to my right I have a man who owns some shares. And I ask him if I can borrow his shares, and I say I'd like to borrow 100 of your shares. And coincidentally, to make the numbers easy, they are worth £10 each. So I borrow his shares, and I sell them in the market. 100 shares at £10 each is £1,000 quid. So I sell those shares. I'm selling something I don't own. I sell them, I make £1,000 quid, and I pocket that £1,000 quid, and I hold on to it. What I'm hoping is that the stock market will go down. Let's say those shares reduce in value by half, so they go down from 10 quid down to 5 quid. Well, I've got £1,000. I can buy those same number of shares back, but it's only going to cost me £500. So I buy the shares back for 500 quid. I give them back to my friendly lender over here, plus a little fee for his services, and I've pocketed the difference between what I sold them at and what I bought them back for. In this case, that's 500 quid. So I'm profiting from the market going down. That all is great when it works, but if I borrow those shares, sell them for £1,000 quid, and they go up in value, let's say they go up to, £15 each, well, I've got to buy them back, to give them back to this guy over here, or he'll send somebody around to break my knees with a baseball bat. So if they've gone up to 15 quid each, well, it's going to cost me £1,500 to buy them. I'm now 500 quid out of pocket, and that's why hedge funds are risky. It's essentially clever, educated betting that the market will go down. So that's how they work. So not for the faint-hearted, but in small measures and small doses, they can behave differently to the other stuff in a portfolio and reduce the risk overall. So that's how they work. Next time I'm just going to wrap up this little series and just cover off the few little things that I haven't covered so far, things like timber and infrastructure, stuff like that. So thanks for watching, and see you next time, and goodbye from Porth Chapel Beach.